Hello, everybody, and welcome back for our last session today. We are in the Canvas LMS for elementary teachers, and today we are going to do our normal housekeeping of attendance. Cole will be putting the attendance link in the chat. Please feel free and fill that out. And we will give you a minute or two to fill it out and get situated for today's session. So in review of yesterday, we worked on modules and different types of assignments. We worked on a basic assignment, an online submission, a page, an external URL, and external tools. Today we are going to talk about another way to incorporate our Google Classroom links on what is called Google Assignments LTI. There are many ways in which we can bring in information into Canvas, and we would like to just make sure that you knew another way to incorporate your Google Classroom assignments as you transition over to Canvas. I'll turn it over to Stephanie.
Good morning, guys, and happy Friday. We know you guys are overwhelmed at this point. Please always remember that our recordings are available to you to go back and review things, and we are also available to assist you in whatever you may need once you get started in this. We did want to show you, as Lisa said, how to actually look into something today that is should be familiar once we get inside of it with the Google side. So we're excited about you learning about this method, and this may be the way that you want to go in transitioning your stuff over from your Google Classroom. So on our homeroom tab on the left-hand side, we're going to go in and select. We've always stayed in the ELA this week for Ms. Cox. So we're going to go inside of that actual course. And while there's multiple ways to add an assignment, we're going to always try to stick to going in the sandbox as we talked about yesterday, and building everything inside of that sandbox and transitioning it over to your actual subject itself. Now, you'll notice in your sandbox, it does automatically open up to your navigation bar, which is the blue area over on the left-hand side. In any of your Power School courses, that's not going to automatically come up for you. You will always have to locate that under the Settings tab or Manage Subject, and then go to Settings. Manage Subject being on the left-hand corner of the subject. You select that and click your settings, and you will see your navigation bar there. Now, with that being said, we're going to always try to keep you working in modules, because that's just the great way to organize things. While there is a way to actually create assignments under assignments, if you're like us, you try to stay organized, and doing that, building assignments under the assignments tab does not always, or will not, I should say, put it under modules. So we might as well start at modules, and then you don't have to move things over. So while in the sandbox, we click on the modules tab, we're going to come up or go to the module where we actually want to put that particular assignment that we have in Google Classroom. So today we're going to be talking about the area of ELA. So the chocolate touch is just an example of what we're going to look at. So in order to build that assignment, to bring it over from my Google Classroom, because you have to remember everything that you have put inside of your Google Classroom is going to, or should be, in your drive, because they are technically links that are connected to your drive. And remember, your Canvas is much like your Google Classroom. It just does not have the stream. That is pretty much the only difference. You're just having to learn to put things in a different area. So Lisa, we're going to click on the ELA grade 3. We're going to click on the plus sign for that particular module. When we go there, we're under the add area. Giving it a second to catch up with me. Under the add area where you have the word assignment, you're going to click the drop down. We're going to select external tool for this part today. Remember, we're bringing something out from external tool. When we select that, let me correct this. We did external tool yesterday. Let's go to the add, and we're going to do an assignment. My brain is dead at this point. So we're going to create an assignment. So we're going to select create assignment, and we're going to call that assignment name the Chocolate Touch Vocabulary. We're going to do our indent, and then we're going to add the item. When we add the item, we always want to open up that particular assignment. We're actually moving it to the correct area. We're going to open up that assignment because we want to go in and work on it and put something inside of it. So as we select it, it comes to the page which you should remember from yesterday. The pages always look the same. So at this point, we're going to select the edit button, which will open it up. We see the title of the actual assignment that we created, and underneath there is our Rich Content Editor, where we can add our information that we want our students to see. You can always add an image here as well if you wanted a banner or other things that you wanted to show in that particular area for your students. I'm going to scroll down and change our points to 100. And then we are going to select external tool underneath there. For submission type, it will be external tool, because remember, we're going to connect from somewhere else. So we're building the assignment underneath our module, and we're adding our text and what we want our students to do. We're selecting external tool. We're going to go to the Find button. When we select our Find button, underneath there, you are going to look for Google Assignments LTI. And this will become a friend of yours with having all of your links from your Google Classroom. So as we scroll down and we search for it, we select it. Once we click select, at this point, it may ask you to authorize to get into your Google account, because we're trying to access this from our Google Drive. So when we already have Ms. Cox logged in, and that's why it's just asking us to continue, but you may have to authorize in this area. So once we click the continue button, this should look familiar to you. This looks exactly like if you were adding an assignment in your Google Classroom. So at this point, down at the middle section area where it says File, you will select Attach. And what you'll do is go find what you're looking for, and in this case, we're looking for the Chocolate Touch vocabulary. So again, we click Attach, we go into the drive, we search for the file we're looking for, we locate that slide, and this looks just like what you technically see again in Google Classroom. Each student by default will get their own copy, which means they work on it. It gives them the opportunity to work in different annotations so they can complete what they need to. If you needed to attach another file there, you technically have that capability of doing so. You have your points that are already pushed there from your LMS, which means that came from Canvas and what we selected. You just have to put your due date in that area. And if you use a rubric, of course, you would add that at that point. But you should be very familiar with what this looks like at this point. And then you will click Create. Once you click Create, it's saving, and then it comes back to this area right here. So then we're just going to go in and press the select button. And what you're able to see and what we're able to train on is like behind. So we're kind of having to slow down and match the things up. That's why we take a little break or a breather in between the things. So at this point, our assignment is there. And you see how it's loaded that external tool URL. So at this point, you decide how many submission attempts you want the students to have. If you want unlimited, if you want them to have one or two. And then as you scroll down, you have the capability. At this point, it's showing that this one would sync to PowerSchool. And we will say this for our K2 people, we are making transition to do some training and so that you understand the grade book process and how all that grading criteria is going to work at this point. But that's forthcoming, just to give you that little nugget while we're here. You'll select and put a due date for the assignment. Who do you want to assign it to? You do have that capability of changing it if you just want that assignment to go to a specific student. And then you're going to save and publish. When you save and publish, it takes us back to the window. And because we had the option for loading it in a new window, technically what happens for the student, I want to click on view or not. We can click on the actual, you can see the load the Chocolate Touch vocabulary in the new window. And if you wanted to see what the students could see at this point, the student view area is in the upper right-hand corner. And this is technically the exact same thing of what the student would see themselves as they went in. And that student, in order to get farther to see the student area in the drive, that student would have to technically be logged in. So it's just going to give you the screen of what that student sees. And then when they click on that tab, it's going to stop you there. Do you want to continue as that person or switch over to the student? So at that point, the student, if they're logged into Google, it would move and transition into what they would see to be able to work on it. Now, this is the best method for adding your stuff from your Google Classroom because it gives you the capability to write on the document and the files, and also gives the student that capability to do that. So we will review this again on September the 8th, and Lisa's going to talk a little bit more about that. We're going to transition over right now to people, and we're going to talk to you about what that tab looks like in each subject.
I'm going to go ahead and return back to my homeroom and go inside the course card or the Power School course card subject card called ELA Grade 3, Miss Cox. And up on the top left, as we get inside the course card, we will review a Manage Subject button at the top left corner in just a moment. Okay, so we've landed here on the subject card called ELA, which is synced from Power School. And inside here is where your student enrollment is going to be, where your students are listed. So at the top left, I'm going to go ahead and click on Manage Subject, and you'll see the navigation blue buttons or blue words on the left-hand side. This is where we put the banner and the lovely picture of the books. This is where you have your navigation tools such as assignments and modules. And then this is where that important info is. So we're going to locate on the left-hand side to people. And when I click on people here, your class roster will show. Now inside this class roster, we have blacked out the student names for security purposes. And in doing that, you'll just see rows and it will say roll student, 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 and just know that they're individual students in this course. Now keep in mind, this enrollment comes again, syncing from Power School to Canvas. Now the importance of people have a variety of different things. One, you'll see your student roster. Two, you're going to see yourself there listed as a teacher as a role. But now think outside the box for a moment. You may have parents that might want to be inside here to observe their student and only their student. That is called a pair observer or the word observer. In any grade level, there is always an option for exceptional children, known as EC, and sometimes they are pulled out of your course, and they need to be working on the same materials as you're teaching the students. You'll have that capability by adding an EC teacher to your course as a teacher. And then some of you may have teaching assistants that will be assisting you with the Canvas or blended learning. And you'll have that option as well in adding them to your course card or your subject card that is connected to Power School. So over on the right-hand side, you have a blue button called Plus People. And a pop-out box should appear on your screen in a moment. In the pop-out box, you'll have some options. The teacher, such as Pam Day, who is a EC teacher in our county and at this school, I'm going to add her to my course using her PSRC email address. So you will enter that person's name, email address in the text box. And below, you will have two items. You're going to have what is called role. And in role, she would have teacher. You can verify your section next to it based on the course card or subject card from Power School. And then you'll hit the blue button next. You'll see that in just a moment. After you've added the teacher's email address, selected the role, and verified the section, you will hit Add User, and a new pop-up box will come. This will give you a green check mark saying the following user are ready to be added to the course. And you would hit the words Add User. The other roles that we will have here, besides teacher, will be TA for teaching assistant. They would have a PSRC email address. And another role is observer. Now, your parents or guardians, grandparents, in order to have an observer role, will need a email address. It does not need to be a PSRC email address. It can be any public email address, a Yahoo email address, a Gmail email address, or whichever type of email address they have. For the parent, they would be selected for observer, and then you would make sure the section is correct, and you would hit next once you had typed in the email address that fits. Moving forward, we're going to return back to homeroom. And we will wrap up today's session. So as Stephanie had said earlier, the next recorded session will be on September 8th. So mark your calendars as you should or could check your Canvas LMS for elementary teachers. There will be a module called September 8th, and the recording and attendance and questions form will be located there, and any other materials that you will need to assist you or explain further on the updates that we will be giving. There will be further updates throughout the semester and into next year to guide you through Canvas. Keep in mind that we are only an email away and that you can reach out to us at any time. Don't forget to fill out the attendance, which is provided for you in the chat. And that you can locate any of these materials that we've trained this week and future in your Canvas LMS for elementary teachers course. If there's anything that we can do for you as we move and see students starting on Monday, feel free to reach out. We hope you have a great rest of Friday and a great weekend.